All right, so click the links, you become a member, join the channel, or check out the subscribe to the various other links. So globalist propaganda and comics. General themes, cut your roots, abandon tradition, and destroy your family tree. Yeah, it's just about comics. No, it's not just about comics. It's never about comics. So common themes in globalist propaganda is to get rid of your family, but oddly enough, only if you're of European descent, because your culture and tradition do not have value, at least to them. So, which is weird, because if there's going to appropriate culture, it's always going to be European at least European created stories, at least you see with Lord of the Rings recently, which is weird how they do that, and I never seem to see the irony in that. Because your culture doesn't have value to them. It's like, it turns out it's like kind of the opposite. It seems to have the most value in the world, and they kind of make that true because they're the ones who are kind of being the culture vultures to it. So they only push this digital genocide in one direction, obviously. You see this theme repeatedly pushed in comics, and I mean, I could do comics reviews and that kind of thing, but it would be the same. You'd see the same examples, and eventually YouTube just would not want to see that on their platform. So eventually they would show the channel the door. So yeah, cut your roots, abandon your bloodlines. I mean, talking about, like, if you're making videos talking about this kind of thing too often, it's too much for YouTube. The algorithm is not stupid. So adopt a new multi-tribal family, which is not of your bloodline, which obviously enough actually destroys diversity, because if you mix, that's what the globalists want. They want you gone from this mortal coil. I mean, you can be as careful algorithmically dog whistling speaking as possible, but eventually catches up to you, it's not the end of the world. It's not as Odyssey and Bit Chute are, like, to me, more important platforms. So the comics are telling you who they are. Doesn't it make you wonder when every antagonist is a fair countenanced person of the light, like every single time? Every jerk in a comic is fair-skinned, and let me get to this absolute. Oh, hey, blue-eyed bully. At least he's not blonde hair, but he is blue-eyed, because everyone knows fair-skinned and fair-eyed. Oh, that's the antagonist. How do you possibly know that? Because if I can show you 1,000 comics where that is indeed the case. I mean, I would love for somebody to fund that study. I could do a presentation. At some point, you have to start saying that these people just hate you. There are thousands of examples in mainstream comics over the past few years to prove this exact point. You can go sail the seas for yourself. I feel no anxiety that someone is going to go through 1,000 comics and prove me wrong, because I've read them firsthand myself. In fact, I can quote episodes that were so egregious they stick with me. The Immortal Hulk run with Al Ewing, episodes 1 and 11. I mean, if you want to just go look those episodes up and just scroll through them briefly, you're like, oh, this is freaking bizarre. It's like, yeah, you can read all 50 episodes. It's like, this is just like, this guy just took this cultural Marxist Frankfurt School playbook, and he's just like checking off points of, like, how can we be as anti-white as possible? It's like, oh yeah, I don't know. I guess he lives in the UK. It's like, he doesn't seem to understand that it's not blonde-haired, it's not green-eyed and blue-eyed motorcycle gangs who are the real danger in America. Literally, the first episode has got a blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy doing a liquor store up. It's like, what's the color of the sky in your world, Al Ewing? Because let me show you around America. Anyway, so in this comic, the bullies are the intolerant, violent, cruel antagonists, are, of course, fair-skinned children of Europe. The other guy is blonde with hazel eyes, so at least they're switching things up a little bit. But I mean, you see the theme here. There are non-whites at the school, but they aren't the bullies, which is weird, because every comic you see, it's all. I distinctly remember comics. How many comics you have to see where there's a blonde-haired, blue-eyed bully or a red-haired, green-eyed bully? It's like the big tough guy at the school's the white guy. Like, what schools have you been to, comics people? It's like, oh yeah, we know this is a lie, but we'll get canceled on Twitter and literally blacklisted from an industry. It's like, well, the people of the light won't cancel us and they won't blacklist us, so we have no choice. It's like, oh gee, so like comics are going to kind of go away because of this. It's like, yeah, eventually. Anyway, so this comic Yes, they're PSEs, but they're just playing sports. And usually, I mean, half the time it'll be they did this in the Revenge of the Nerds movies too, which at the time I didn't notice, but now having put on the They Live glasses, I watch that movie differently. It's like, who comes to the rescue for these evil European bullies? Oh, these non-white groups have to come save the day. It's like, yeah, that happens all the time in comics and movies. It's weird. It's weird, this presentation. Careful here. It is just so strange. It really activates the almonds. It makes you think. Anyway, so these lovely children are not the bullies because they're much too refined for that. Only the people of the light can be malice-filled savages in comics. It seems odd when the coincidences are a repetition of events. So the next element is not really the BLT pronoun thing. That's just a distraction. And I mean, yeah, it's all nonsense, as is the hair dye. That's not your hair color. Your natural hair color is who you are. It's who your true self is. Dyeing your hair is something you aren't. Or taking chemicals to be your true self. That doesn't make any sense. Even teenagers should be able to realize this. I'm becoming my true self by altering myself. Yeah, maybe think that through a little bit. And it's the reason we don't usually let young people make permanent decisions. You are your true self without chemicals or going under the knife. Making permanent decisions. Yeah, that's going to be a bad idea if you're under, I don't know, 25. So that's just Bolshevik propaganda. Your true self is the pure you. But they brainwashed the kids and parents over the generations since the last war. Generational brainwashing, turns out, is remarkably effective. So the kid wants to change his name from Jack or whatever to something stupid because the globalist propaganda machine tells you to dye your hair and call you some nonsense. Because to be yourself is the worst thing, I suppose. Just be yourself. Be a proud Englishman or a proud Swede, whatever you are. It's like take pride in what you are. Ignore this anti-European propaganda that's going around the past few years. In fact, go the other direction and step on the gas. Give them the middle finger and call everything they do globalist propaganda, because it's a shortcut. And it's also remarkably accurate because it is, in fact, globalist propaganda. We have so many examples to show that. Take pride in your tribe and ancestors. I mean, go in the opposite direction of all this kind of anti-white nonsense. Everything the mainstream media and social media machine says, and it is a machine, it's a propaganda machine. And as short as like, it was only 20 years ago where the left wing would have been in firm agreement with me on this topic of the corporate mainstream media, and it's like, gee, it took 20 years, but you guys got subverted in totality, and now you're terrified to speak out against these insane whack jobs. Anyway, everything that they say is a lie. I mean, that's a like, if their lips are moving, it's a lie designed to destroy you. By you, I mean people who are from that one region of the world where the people of the light come from. By now, you should be well aware of what is going on. You have to have your head in the effing sand, not to kind of start to be cognizant and start putting these puzzle pieces together. So no, this anti-European propaganda war is not organic, and it originated from some very evil sources. Everything they say is a lie. Everything they do is designed to destroy. In the comic, the kid disrespects his parents publicly and parrots some critical theory Frankfurt School propaganda, and he dyes his hair fuchsia, I guess. So he is stunning and brave, and now he has a place on the Marxist social hierarchy, which is an important point. I think I heard Black Pigeon on his Odyssey live stream. That guy did an Odyssey live stream last night. He gets 600 people in an Odyssey live stream, and people are just throwing money at him. So I'm going to have to... No, I don't think I'm as good as him, but... I think Odyssey live streams are kind of the place, the path forward. Anyway, which means that you and the comic are validating this Bolshevik propaganda. It turns out that when you have total control of the schools and dissemination of information, who's the school board union leader? Again, what's her? She said some interesting things lately. You really can't brainwash people. It takes generations, but it's very effective. And don't say anything in the comments. No, yes, YouTube knows your dog whistles. Don't try to do that. The non-binary thing, you're male or female. they both have spectrums of behavior, mostly overlapping, believe it or not. Men and women from the broad sense are not that different. They both carbon-based forms of life, and then primates, and you get the idea. It's like we think we're so radically different, but an outsider looks in on like male and female fox behavior. It's like, they're fairly similar creatures. A male isn't a female because of his patterns of behavior. That's just Marxist psychobabble. You know, the libs of TikTok girl, what's her name? It's like they doxed her. Once they doxed her, they use her name for everything. It's like Jaime, or it's like spelled Kane, but I think it's pronounced Jaime something. She's doing remarkable work, and for that they had to destroy her. She's like the way one based chick on social media, and for that Taylor Lorenz had to go to her friend's house, her family's house, go to her house, dox her, hound her, chase her down, and try to destroy her life because she's against degeneracy with kids. And all she did was show videos of TikTok videos of these insane brainwashed, Marxist teachers. Like, she just showed their own videos that they put on TikTok, and she was putting them on other platforms. And for that, they called it stochastic terrorism. She was literally trying to get people deleted because she was against these. We're going to have like pronoun closets where you go in the closet and you come out like dressed as you want or something with your new name and pronouns. Like, oh man. I look around the neighborhood and I'm like, should I set up a homeschool? Say, like, we could. It wouldn't take, yes, I'd be an excellent teacher. It wouldn't take much to do this. Like, you could set up cameras and live stream it so the parents could watch it on I have a home security system, but you can watch it on your phone and tablets. Like, you could easily rewire one of the cameras, have the people be able to. I mean, I wouldn't do it, but I mean, you let someone else do it. It's like that. If you wanted to watch your kids, it's like you could always check in with the home security system, going through a mobile network. It's remarkably easy to do, and the setup costs like not much to do. It's yes, you could do a lot of this kind of stuff. Anyway, so I don't feel. I mean, like a male teaching is like, it's good because men are better teachers. But like you really want to keep an eye on them. It's just though, as it turns out now, no, I guess you want to keep an eye more on the female teachers because they're teaching these kids the most abhorrent thing. So it used to be you didn't trust the male teachers. Now it turns out like, no, I think I probably would trust them more because I know they're not going to be teaching the kids this stuff that affects them permanently. Anyway, that's another video. But I don't feel like a female because I mimic their patterns of behavior. I mean, if I was to do that. It's like the idea of dressing as a female, like, wait, you're saying you're going to go to extra steps to put more work into makeup and fashion when as a male you don't have to do any of that? Why would I do that? Why would I put more work into like spending more money for clothes and makeup when I don't have to do any of that? Oh, because I feel like my true self. My true self wears Birkenstocks, shorts, and a t-shirt and doesn't wear any makeup. Because that's the lowest, kind of easiest state of being. Maybe a little sunblock, but why would I want to spend money on... that's just bizarre to me. Like, my true state is my true state. It's me. It's just sitting here in shorts and a t-shirt. A very ripped up, paint-splattered t-shirt. As all my t-shirts seems to be paint-splattered. So, no, I'm not a female if I happen to mimic their patterns of behavior. That's just Marxist interpretation. Young people are very susceptible to social pressure. Like, no poop. So the Bolsheviks in control of the schools hire these easily brainwashed cat ladies to parrot Saul Alinsky talking points because the teachers themselves have no core dogma. If they were Christian nationalists or European nationalists or those kind of, like those kind of Euro-pagan, those guys with I don't know what they call those guys. Like, they've got like the Norse symbology type of stuff. So no, if you had, I don't know, like the Norse, I've seen some really cool Norse leather works, like belts and vests, and it's a little LARPy, but it also looks like the art looks really, really, you see at the Ren Fair type of stuff, and it's like, you don't want to go overboard, but some of that jewelry looks really cool. Yeah, so no, if you have Norse tattoos and you're not going to be hired to teach. Like, you saw that Project Veritas thing where they're interviewing teachers. Like, they don't even want to hire anyone over like 40 because they're too set in their ways. That means they're more like, as you get older, you're more likely to be conservative because you learn. I mean, if you can check out Project Veritas on I don't know what platforms they're on. I think I don't know if they're just on YouTube, but you got to get on Odyssey and Bit Chute. Maybe they are, I haven't checked it. Every other group can take pride in whatever they want to take pride in, except your groups. And like I said, you got to go in the other direction of that. Don't just like try to stand still and deny. Like, I'm not istophobic. We can all just work together. It's like, no, go in the opposite direction. I mean, do what you want to do. But I used to be that libertarian thing when thinking like it's losing theory and game theory. It's just losing theory 101. If you really want to kind of go down this path, there's a guy on Gab he's called, I don't know what his Gab channel. He's in the Telegram Wanderer's Choice, and he's got this Gab where he puts a lot of work into kind of explaining this stuff to beginners. So it's a trip. Obviously, this stuff is deeper than comics. It's way deeper than comics. But comics is a window into their world. And I mean, the people who make comics, like when I started to study, went from just reading fun comics, kind of on a nostalgia trip in 2015 to going behind the scenes. It's like they're crazy people, and they're crazy people who believe very bad things. They believe whatever they're told to believe. And then a lot of them, the ones who don't really believe it, there's people in the industry now who are just they know they can't say anything differently. Otherwise, you'd be in a position like EVS where you're just shown the door because you're like, oh, I voted for Trump. I'm vaguely a milquetoast conservative. It's like, oh, well, you got to go. You can't. This is a hostile work environment for you. Oh, so like you're saying mainstream comics you just entirely control. Yeah, absolutely. It's like it's an intolerant, hostile workplace for anyone who's not an insane nut job, globalist nut job. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys all next episode.